If I Ran the Circus. This book is for my dad, Big Ted of Springfield, the finest man I'll ever know. Now, a fellow like me, said young Morris McGurk, could get rid of this junk in a half-hour's work. I could yank up those weeds and chop down the dead tree and haul off those old cars. They're just 2 or 3. And then the whole place would be ready, you see. All ready to put up the tents for my circus. I think I'll call it the Circus McGurkus. The Circus McGurkus, the world's greatest show on the face of the earth or wherever you go. The Circus McGurkus, the cream of the cream. The Circus McGurkus, the circus supreme. The Circus McGurkus, colossal, stupendous, astounding, fantastic, terrific, tremendous. I'll bring in my acrobats, jugglers, and clowns from 1,033 faraway towns to the place that you'll see them in, ladies and gents, right behind Sneelock's store in the Great McGurk tents. And I don't suppose old Mr. Sneelock will mind when he suddenly has a big circus behind. After all, Mr. Sneelock is one of my friends. He might even help out doing small odds and ends. Doing little odd jobs, he could be of some aid, such as selling balloons and pink lemonade. I think 500 gallons will be about right, and then I'll be ready for opening night. What an opening night! What a night, what a sight! I'll hoist up the curtains, the crowds will crowd in, and my Circus McGurkus will promptly begin, with a welcoming toot on my welcoming horn by my horn-tooting apes from the jungle of Jorn, where the very best horn-tooting apes are all born, 'cause the very fresh air there is fine for their lungs, and some of those fellows have 2 or 3 tongues. This way, step right in. This way, ladies and gents. My sideshow starts here in the first of my tents. When you see what goes on, you'll say no other circus is half as great as the Circus McGurkus is. Here on stage 1, from the ocean of Alf, is a sight most amazing, a walrus named Rolf, who can stand on 1 whisker. This wonderful Rolf, on the top of 5 balls, 2 for tennis, 3 for golf. It's a marvelous trick, if I do say so myself. And on stage number 2, here's something quite new. From a country called From comes this drum-tummied snum, who can drum any tune that you might care to hum. Doesn't hurt him a bit, 'cause his tummy is numb. And now you'll meet the Foon, the remarkable Foon who eats sizzling hot pebbles that fall off the moon. And the reason he likes them red hot, it appears, is he greatly enjoys blowing smoke from his ears. Of course, pebbles like this are quite hard to collect, but Sneelock will manage somehow, I expect. After all, Mr. Sneelock is one of my friends, and I'm sure he'll help out doing some small odds and ends. And on stage number 4, see Wily Walloo, who can throw his long tail as a sort of lasso. With a flip of the hip, with a tail of his kind, he can capture whoever is standing behind. He can capture old Sneelock. I'm sure he won't mind. And now, here is a hoodwink, who winks in his wink hood. Without a good wink hood, a hoodwink can't wink good. And folks, let me tell you, there is only one circus with a wink-hooded hoodwinks, the Circus McGurkus. The show of all shows. There is no other showman who shows you a show with a blindfolded bowman. The blindfolded bowman from Brigger Barut, the world's sharpest sharpshooter. Look at him shoot! Through the holes in 4 donuts, 2 hairs on a worm, and the knees of 3 birds without even making them squirm. And even on through a crab apple on the head of Sneelock, who likes to help out a lot, as I've said. And now, come to this spot, where the spotlight is hot, and you'll see in the spotlight a juggling jot, who can juggle some stuff you might think he could not, such as 22 question marks, which is a lot, also 44 commas, and also 1 dot. That's the kind of Circus McGurkus I've got. But that's just my sideshow, a start, a beginning. This way to the big tent. You'll find your head spinning. Why, ladies and gentlemen, youngsters and oldsters, your heads will quite likely spin right off your shoulders. So hurry up, step lively, quick, ladies and gents, and get into your seats in my tent of all tents. My parade of all parades is about to commence. You'll see Drum Major Sneelock flying his baton, and my organ McGorgon McGurkus come on, with its hot steaming pipes of gold brass-plated tin, snorting all snorts of snorts in a big bumbling din. That is a stupendous, stororis. And when I play Dixie, please join in the chorus.
A fluff, muffled truffle will ride on a huffle, and next in line a fine flummox will shuffle. The flummox will carry a lurch in a pail, and a fibble will carry the flummox tail. While on top of the flummox 3 harp twanging snarp will twang Marty twangs on their 3 snarper harp, while a blowster blows bloops on a 3-nozzled blueser, a nostril blows floops on 1-nozzled nooser, and then comes a lion who partly a trout, then more stuff for 45 minutes about.
Oh my gosh.
Then behind them, then everyone stares. Come my to and fro marchers who march in 5 layers. The fro's march on toes, and the toes march on fro's. Don't know how they do it, but that's how it goes. Now comes an act of enormous enormance. No former performers performed this performance. The stunt is too gripply, slippery, frightening. Down from the top of my tent like greased lightning through pots full of lots of stickle bush trees slides a man, what a man, on his roller skis. And he stares without fear, and you know at a glance that is Sneelock. The man who takes chance after chance, he won't even rip a small hole in his pants.
And now here, in this cage, is a beast most ferocious, who's known far and wide as the spotted atrocious, who growls and howls and yowls the most blood-curdling sounds, and each tooth in his mouth weighs at least 60 pounds. And he chews up and eats with the greatest of ease, things like carpets and sidewalks and people and trees. But the great Colonel Sneelock is just the right kind of man who can tame him. I'm sure he won't mind. Then I'll let Sneelock off for a few minutes' rest, while high over your heads you will see the best of the world's finest, fanciest, breezy trapezing. My Zuma Zoop troop from the West Upper Bendizing, who never quite know, while they zoop and they zoom, whether which will catch what one, or who will catch whom, or if who will catch which by the what and just where, or just when, or just how, and which part of the air. What a circus, my circus McGurkus. My workers love work. They say, work us, please work us. We'll work, and we'll work up so many surprises. You'd never see half if you had 40 eyes. And now, again Sneelock. Brave Sneelock is back, risking life on my patented life-risking track, while the speedsters I call my colliding collusions race round in swift cars called abrasion protrusions, and Sneelock just lies there, not one bit excited. I know he won't mind. He'll be simply delighted. And here, in a contest of brute strength and muscle, Kid Sneelock, my champ of all champs, will now tussle and wrestle a beast called Grizzly Ghastly, and slap him around. Then he'll slam him down fastly and pin his shoulders tight flat to the mat. Kid Sneelock will love it. I'm sure about that. And while that goes on there, look at this go on here. Have you heard of my herd of through horns jumping deer? Every deer jumps through horns of another pell-mell, while his horns are being jumped through at the same time as well, by a deer whose horns are also being jumped through, by another who is having his horns jumped through too, which I'm sure trainer Sneelock can train them to do. Then the whole tent will ring with hoorays and wild shouts when I wheel in my whales, and they turn on their spouts. First, my whale number 1, with an aim that aims true, spouts a spout that spouts Sneelock to whale number 2. And then whale number 2 spouts his spout like a gun, and that spout spouts old Sneelock right back to whale number 1. And then forwards and backwards on spout after spout, my great spout rider Sneelock gets spouted out, just as long as the water they're spouting holds out. And then my tournament knights, noble apes without fear, Sir Hector, Sir Vector, Sir Bops and Sir Beers, Sir Hawkins, Sir Dawkins, Sir Jocks, and Sir Jeers, clatter into the tent, and while everyone cheers, stays a joust about roused with their boxing glove spears. And while all this wild ruckusing goes on below, at the top of the tent, look, the star of my show, great daredevil Sneelock, the world's bravest type. He comes pulled through the air by 3 Soberian snipe, on a dingus contraption attached to his pipe. And while people below are turning chalk white and all biting their nails off in their fright, great Sneelock soars up to a terrible height.
Yeah. Then he shakes himself loose. He starts down in a dive such as no man on earth could come out alive. But he smiles as he falls, and no fear does he feel. His nerves are like iron, his muscles like steel, and he plunges down, down with his hair still combed neat, 4,692 feet. Land in a fishbowl, he'll manage just fine. Don't ask how he'll manage. That's his job, not mine. He'll be a hero. Of course he won't mind when he finds out that he has a big circus behind. Stupendous.